Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. This is a compilation video of some of my greatest hits. Hope y'all enjoy them. Automated defense system. Since before man started keeping records, there have been strange things seen in the skies. In the last 500 years, records indicate that UFOs have been in our skies in increasing numbers. It's almost like we're being studied or some sort of reconnaissance is being performed, possibly as a prelude to invasion. What I find interesting is that the sheer number of UFOs which seem to crash or malfunction or explode over our world. There's hundreds of crash sites that have been recorded and investigated, and there are even videos of UFOs being fired at by some mysterious ground station, namely the NASA SDS-48 UFO video reportedly depicting a UFO being fired at by Star Wars defense weaponry. NASA says it's ice particles and some reflection that makes it look like a space battle. But what if it's not? NASA launched 2 satellites in 2012 with the purpose of studying the Van Allen radiation belts. These studies showed that those radiation belts fluctuate and mutate unexpectedly and in unexplained ways, almost like it's under intelligent control. Those belts act as a type of a force shield, protecting our world from the worst of radiation and other particles which could do us harm. Some researchers believe this force shield could even protect us from particle weapons from space. We still don't know how or why that works. We don't know where the radiation belts come from. We don't know why they're there. It's crazy. The Roswell crash was theoretically and allegedly due to a new radar system interacting with a violent thunderstorm. There's no way to know for certain unless, of course, the government comes clean on the entire thing. But what if it wasn't an accident? What if that UFO was hit with some new experimental weapon system? What if the interaction with the Van Allen radiation belts brought that ship down? Who knows? Again, we have no way of knowing. In 1854, explorers in Yakut, Russia, discovered what they described as cauldrons littering the area. Upside down, they're domes, they're upside down cauldrons. These domes are located in an area called the Valley of Death. They are metallic and embedded in the earth. These cauldrons are 20 to 30 feet in diameter. There is no explanation for. Remember, this was 1854. Who was building metallic domes out there in Yakut, Siberia? Local Yakut people say that periodically the cauldrons would open up and shoot fireballs into the sky. Yeah. I don't have an explanation for that. If these people who have lived in the area for generations are saying it, you kind of, take their word. I mean, it's not like it's 1854. It's not like they were out there watching YouTube or they had, they were influenced by television shows. They're telling you what they saw. It's kind of like the Sumerian mythology, Zechariah Sitchin. How did the first people who wrote mythology get mythology? You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. So in conclusion, humans have created the Star Wars defense system and may have a type of field that's capable of bringing down UFOs. Also, it seems that someone outfitted the Earth with a force field, which mutates as needed to protect the Earth, and someone also outfitted the Earth with a ground-based series of defensive batteries designed to protect Earth from invaders or natural hazards. Kind of makes you wonder who our mysterious benefactors are. Somebody wants us to survive. They put a freaking defense system on our planet. It's amazing. We got a force field and we got ground-based weapon systems. And we have no idea who put them there. Star Wars was us. I get that. And if we have a kind of a radar type field that brings down UFOs or whatever the fuck, I can see that. But we have the Van Allen radiation belts, which scientists still can't explain. And we have this system in Yakut that apparently shoots things. So Somebody wants us to survive. They gave us a weapon system, a defensive system. CERN anomalies. I did a video a while back about a UFO which was seen over the CERN super collider. That one got quite a few views, and the comments were extremely interesting. I really enjoyed reading the comments. A little research over the last few weeks, and I found a surprising amount of oddities in the area surrounding the super collider. But first, I thought it was interesting to note that the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider, is located at Apollonicum, the ancient Roman designation, which was dedicated to Apollyon the Destroyer. The facility housing the LHC sports a statue prominently displayed for the world to see. The statue is of Lord Shiva, the Destroyer, the god of destruction. Maybe this is why so many people have reservations about the experiments carried out in that facility. For those of you who don't know, the Large Hadron Collider is used to do particle research and to study particle physics. The experiments involve manipulating the very fabric of reality. While this sounds far-fetched, my research says that the truth may be even further out than that. Some of the experiments include chasing ghost particles which travel faster than light, and according to some, opening portals to other dimensions. When I heard about that, I thought it was crazy. I really did. However, a man driving along a Swiss highway near the CERN Large Hadron Collider reported a black portal or a black hole in the sky overhead. That sounded crazy until he produced the video that he took of the portal. You got to see it. That shit is weird. Nobody as of yet has been able to debunk that video, and by all accounts, it is real. It actually happened. There was a black hole in the sky near the Large Hadron Collider. Scientists at the CERN facility have reported unexplained strange signals emanating from within the Large Hadron Collider. Where the hell are they coming from? I mean, it's an enclosed facility. Where are these signals coming from? Maybe they did create a portal to another dimension. Who knows? Furthermore, locals in the surrounding area have reported huge amounts of paranormal activity since the Large Hadron Collider has become operational. They've reported ghost sightings in the inhabited areas. They're very, very prevalent. We're talking verifiable, multiple witnesses. I saw Aunt Fred, or Uncle Fred. He's been dead for years. I saw Aunt Martha, that kind of thing. Another thing that I found odd was strange phantom creatures of all kinds, shapes, and sizes have been reported in the wooded areas in the area. These phantoms vanish after a few moments. And none of that can be explained because nobody even knows what the hell they are. It's crazy. Some have tentacles and whatever. They're odd shapes and sizes and unidentifiable. But people see them. Multiple witnesses have seen them, and they disappear. If I had to guess, I would say that the Large Hadron Collider messing with the fabric of reality has somehow affected the fabric of reality, and all of the odd reports are consequences of those experiences. Who knows? What we do know is that something strange is definitely going on. And again, do your own research. If you can find more, put it in the comments. If you can, if you disagree with me, put them in the comments. Okay? I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. That's fine. What we do need to do is find out if the Large Hadron Collider operating the way it is safe. I'm all for scientific research, but if this thing is causing bad things to happen, and I'm not saying, as I understand it, they tried to recreate a very miniature copy of the Big Bang. The problem is the Big Bang created the universe. How small can you get that? At some point, you have to question whether or not they're being safe. CERN Anomalies Part 2. Last week, I did a video about some weird things that were happening in and around the CERN Large Hadron Collider. There was a portal seen overhead and actually gotten videotape of. ghost and phantom creature sightings in the area, strange signals coming from within the Large Hadron Collider that people couldn't explain. I told a friend of mine about the video I had done because it's not public yet. And he hadn't seen it, of course, but he sent me an article that he found about the Large Hadron Collider. And I figured I needed to do something because that's this all new stuff. So, and it kind of makes sense. So I'm going to do this one. But CERN Anomalies Part 2. There's a physicist named Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. She is a Swiss scientist and a researcher. She has a background in public health, and she used to work with the United Nations and the World Health Organization. She has come forward with information relayed to her by several researchers at the CERN Super Collider. CERN, as we all know, is not just a research facility. They also, according to these scientists, are involved in a secret nuclear program. They insist that the program is not weapons related, but, who knows? According to Dr. Stuckelberger, these researchers told her that there is a portal beneath the Large Hadron Collider. This portal allows extra-dimensional beings to enter and leave our dimension. This would explain all of the phantom creature sightings in the area, as well as the signals from within the Large Hadron Collider. These researchers told her that the portal connects our reality to at least 17 other dimensions. This is theoretically supported by string theory. The CERN facility is supervised by an international group, and their members regularly inspect the facility. If this portal is real and the signals really do emanate from within the Large Hadron Collider, then I find it hard to believe that these inspectors are unaware of them. If they knew, or if they know, then why is it that the international community at large does not know? Why aren't they telling us? Well, I have a theory about that. This is my theory. In 2012, the CERN facility was doing research into the Higgs boson particle. They used the Large Hadron Collider to recreate the conditions of the Big Bang, but on a much smaller scale. Here's the rub. The Big Bang theoretically created our universe. In my opinion, no matter how small of a scale you recreate that in, it should still be pretty powerful. You make a big explosion small, yeah, that's cool, but with an explosion that big, you're going to have to really, really chop that down. And I don't know how small they can make that. And even the smallest amount of the Big Bang is pretty freaking powerful. According to some physicists, such a burst of energy would create a disruption in the fabric of space-time. This would be exceedingly dangerous. One hypothesis says that our universe was destroyed by that baby Big Bang, and we are currently living in an alternate reality. If so, we could be living at the whim of an entity who is altering that reality just to study us, like bacteria in a petri dish. And if that hypothesis holds any kind of water, it would surely explain a lot. Look around. Our world is going crazy. Our world is going to shit really, really quick. Half of America believes that men can become pregnant, mutilating children is normal, and whatever they see in entertainment is real. This isn't a joke. Half of America believes this stuff. Brainwashing can explain portions of this, but before 2012, if somebody told you that in 2024, half of America would believe that men can menstruate and become pregnant, and mutilating children would be normalized in some places, mandated by the government, you would have said that they were crazy. How many times have you heard people jokingly ask if we're living in an alternate reality? Maybe it's not a joke. The U.S. government announced that UFOs are real, and actual serious UFO hearings are being conducted in the Congress of the United States. The amount of craziness in our world has multiplied exponentially since 2012. And I just used a few examples here. I'm conservative leaning, so bear with me on that. But these are by far not the only examples. Okay? If we really are in an alternate reality being poked with a stick by a powerful entity who's curious about how we would react, it would surely explain a lot. It would really explain a lot. What if creating the CERN facility and the Large Hadron Collider was the beginning of the end for our race? Some believe that this experiment in 2012, coinciding with the end of the Mayan calendar, is no coincidence. Some believe we were sent to this alternate reality to save our species from the end of the world predicted by that Mayan calendar. That would presuppose that someone knew what that experiment would do and did it on purpose. That's a scary thought. Digging into these theories, you find that the entire situation becomes a quagmire, and the more you dig, the more craziness you uncover, and none of it provides any definitive answers. This just a shit ton more questions and more theories and blah, blah, blah. Now, again, I'm not saying that any of that is real, because I don't know that there's a way to prove it. However, if a big event like that did happen in 2012 and the CERN Hadron Collider was behind it, it would certainly explain a lot of the stuff we're seeing today. Because our world, everybody knows, the people in our world are going crazy. And we watch it on a daily basis. Hollow Earth theory. This really isn't an unexplained phenomenon, but it's a theory that's been propagated for decades, centuries even. And it's something I felt needed to be addressed because I keep hearing about it, and there's pros and cons to that theory. There's stuff that supports it and stuff that goes against it. And I'm going to get into my own opinions too. So here we go. The history of our world is rife with stories and myths about beings living under the surface of the planet. Local legends in various areas around the world speak of beings both benevolent and malevolent coming from under the ground and either helping or attacking humans. All right, Hollow Earth theory. Buddhists speak of the Agartha, which is a land within the planet which is inhabited by a race of technologically advanced beings. The green children of Woolpit came from a cave and stayed on the surface. These kids, apparently, they claim to come from another world, another underground civilization, I guess. Those children were very, very real. Their descendants can be found in England today. Check out my video on these green children of Woolpit. The Native American Hopi culture has their own mythology, and this is a rich and vibrant mythology and speaks of beings which come from under the ground. These beings taught the Hopi all manner of things. The Hopi refer to these beings as the ant friends. In the Hopi language, the word for ant is Anu. The word for friend is Naki. So ant friend is Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were an ancient mythos of deities worshipped in the Middle East, specifically in Sumeria, Akkadia, Assyria, and Babylonia. The Anunnaki are very prevalent in Eric von Daniken's ancient astronaut theory. This cannot be a coincidence. These two cultures are literally on opposite ends of the world. Different continents, the whole 9 yards. It's crazy. Anunnaki in Hopi is ant friend. And these beings apparently came from under the ground and helped the Hopi, taught them all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that can't be a coincidence. The Hollow Earth theory began in the early 1800s, or possibly even before. I've heard all kinds of different things, but the only one I can support is the early 1800s. This theory postulates that the outer crust of the Earth, approximately 500 to 800 miles thick, encloses a layered and inhabited interior which is heated by an internal sun at the core. The most recent spike in Hollow Earth theory conversations was due to an alleged diary from Admiral Richard Byrd. Operation High Jump saw Admiral Byrd lead a group of warships to the South Pole, a task force, where he allegedly found an entrance into a vast underground world. Operation High Jump took place in 1947 and was a real expedition to the South Pole. The military force accompanying the expedition was considerable. It included an aircraft carrier. They planned on fighting somebody. I mean, they're not just exploring. Rumors talk of a battle which Byrd's force lost, having a number of his ships heavily damaged. The rumor is that one of his ships was cut in half by like a laser type energy weapon from a flying craft of some kind. The story of his diary, made public years later, is so fantastical as to be hard to believe. Allegedly, he wrote in the diary, excuse me, that his flight into the hole or entrance allowed him to find greenery and rolling hills along with a live mammoth. Now, the diary says they flew a plane into a hole in the ground. That right there, I find hard to believe. He also saw a city with circular craft with swastikas on them. Yeah. The people of the city were tall and blonde because he apparently landed. They were tall and blonde and spoke with a Germanic accent. They called themselves the Ariani. I got to be honest here. Byrd went all the way to the South Pole with an armada and set up a base camp, but on his historic flight, he failed to take a camera. Pictures of this fantastic land beneath Antarctica with mammoths and the Ariani, and their craft and city would have provided excellent proof. In 1947, strange craft with swastikas and tall blonde people with Germanic accents called Ariani, like Ariani, would raise all kinds of alarms. I could find no proof of any battle which damaged any of the high jump vessels. I looked, I couldn't find it. There is no way to verify the authenticity of Admiral Byrd's diary, so it very well could be a hoax. If these Nazi-type people had the power with their circular craft to cripple an American task force, why was there no further word from them, peaceful or hostile? I do not buy the Admiral Byrd story. I do find it compelling that two distinctly different people, a world apart, the Hopi and Sumerian, have such a similar language and mythology. To the best of my knowledge, no serious scientific investigation into these similarities has been undertaken. That, in and of itself, is suspect. Are they trying to hide something? We don't know. The Green Children story is actually verified. It did, in fact, happen. Those children did, in fact, exist. They came from the underground. Their descendants are in England right now. So perhaps there is something to this. Again, I don't believe the Admiral Byrd story, but these kids came from somewhere. I mean, they were green children. I'm just saying. Maybe there is something to this Hollow Earth theory after all. I don't know. If anybody else has any more information or any more... And by the way, the Hopi are not the only people with mythology of beings coming from under the ground. There's locals all over the world who talk about that.
If anybody out there who's ever made bread, you know it's kind of a complex thing. You take the flour and you mix the ingredients with it. You add water and blah blah blah, and you mix it up and you whip it really good. You beat it, and then you put it in loaves and you bake it and blah 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 blah. It's kind of an involved process. Excuse me. Sorry, you can tell it's getting cold outside. The cats wanted out and he didn't want to stay out for very long. Anyway. Making bread is kind of an involved process, and it's not difficult. It's just there's a lot to it. You know, if you didn't know how to make bread, if nobody had taught you didn't have a recipe, how would you figure out how to do it? That's the part that bugs me, because bread's been around a long time. Bread predates Christ. Bread is I mean it's been around a long time. So, the part that bugged me is, how did primitive man get the formula? I mean, yeah, we'll find these grassels and we'll grind up the seeds and the powder and we'll mix water with it and then we'll bake that up. Yeah. It to me, that's a bit much for primitive hunter-gatherers. You know what I'm saying? And then I found out something else that added to this mystery. For those of you who don't know, the wheat we grow now on this planet, on farms and ranches, or farms, rather, excuse me, is not naturally occurring on this planet. Uh, it's been genetically engineered. It's been engineered. It's been crossbred with things. It was first cultivated 10,000 years ago. I'm talking about wheat. First cultivated 10,000 years ago, which was not much after the dawn of agriculture. I did a video on Göbekli Tepe. Go check that out. The people who did that approximately the time agriculture was invented, roughly. And wheat was first cultivated 10,000 years ago, which is shortly after that, maybe 1,000 or so years after that. So, in order to get wheat that we have today, these primitive people, they had to crossbreed these grasses with other grasses to get bigger and bigger seeds suitable for grinding into flour. Because you can't have bread without flour. Okay. And Lloyd Pye does a really good version of this story. I can't do him justice, so I'm not going to try. I'm going to abbreviate it here. Some industrious hunter-gatherer discovered how to grow stuff. Agriculture. He's planting crops. And they had maize, corn, maize, and a few other things. But he wanted something different. So he decided one day to go find some grass. And he picked out the biggest seeds. He took a handful of this back to his cave, and he took out the biggest seeds. And by the way, at this point, they're like little peppercorns. They're tiny, tiny little. I mean, I have a hard time seeing them, and I wear glasses. I'm getting old and going blind, apparently. But anyway, you pick out the biggest of these peppercorns, and you plant those, and let them grow. And then you bring those in, and you find the biggest seeds there, and you plant those, and let them grow. Then you bring that in, pick out the biggest seeds, and you continue this process over and over and over for 1,000 years to get wheat, to plant, to grow, to get the kernels from, to grind into flour, to make bread. Now, they were making bread out of other things, I'm sure. But if you had the other things to make bread with, why would you want to make bread out of grass? The precursor to wheat. You see my point? This one would assume he passed it down to his children and their children and their children, blah, 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 on down in generations. So this family of industrious cavemen, hunter-gatherers, whatever, continued with this engineering of the seeds, of growing the crops to get the bigger and bigger seeds for thousands of years in order to get a wheat, so that they could grind up the flour, the seeds into flour, the kernels into flour, and make bread out of it. It adds a whole new slant to bread when you realize what cavemen had to do to get the wheat to make the bread. Like I said, you were making bread out of other things. Why would you engineer something different to make bread out of it? It's one thing if you find something else. Hey, yeah, we can use that to make bread out of. That's cool. But engineering it over thousands of years to make bread, that's I'm sorry. There's something wrong with that. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. Okay. It's a pretty involved process for these Stone Age primitives. Now, all of that being said, we now know UFOs are real. If they do indeed carry alien beings, how long have those alien beings been visiting our planet? And if they've been visiting our planet for thousands of years, did they have a hand in this? I mean, I don't know. I can't say. Can you? But I know this. If you're making making bread out of everything around you is, corn and like that, and that's cool. Why would you engineer something new to make bread out of when it took thousands of years to engineer? You see the problem with that? Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense. Unless somebody told them to do it. The whole premise of dogs and cats not liking each other and not getting along. Well, I don't know. Maybe back in the day they did, because there's a cat on this planet that's unlike any other cat anywhere that I know of. And this cat has a lot of dog-like qualities, and I'm talking about the cheetah, just like the title of the video says. Cheetahs are the fastest land animal. They can travel between 45 and 70 miles an hour, and they can get quick bursts up to 100 miles an hour. And if you've seen a cheetah, they're low, they're lean and long, and they can stretch out and just pound the speed right out of there, and they're just magnificent creatures to watch. If you've ever seen one on a video or whatever, check it out. They're brilliant. They're beautiful animals. They got the spots, the whole 9 yards. So I started doing some research into these when I heard what I heard, and I heard about it on a Lloyd Pye video, by the way. So I started doing some research, and I found out that he didn't tell you everything about this. And I one of the things I couldn't verify, but the other stuff I can. This is what I can verify. This is the truth. This is what I found. Cheetahs don't have normal cat paws. A cat has retractable claws, and they use them for climbing. Every cat on the planet has that, except the cheetah. The cheetah has dog-like, non-retractable claws. Okay? And they have tough pads on their feet, and this allows them to run quickly and turn on a dime. If you've ever seen them, most cats don't like water. Cheetahs love water. They love to swim. They swim like dogs. Cheetahs were domesticated 5,000 years ago. In other words, they were made pets by humans, and by the Sumerians, and they were used for hunting, just like a dog. Most cats are nocturnal predators. They hunt at night because they have the great night vision. You've heard that. We've all heard that. Cheetahs hunt in the daytime like a dog. And they hunt by sight, not by scent. So they have great vision, but they don't have, I assume, great night vision because they hunt during the day. But they are also trained as hunting animals by people. And people were training them to hunt like this 5,000 years ago. So, cheetahs aren't like any other cat on the planet. They have dog-like qualities. And it boggles the mind. If you talk to a scientist, that's just the way they are. But why? Every other cat has specific traits, and these cheetahs do everything backwards. It's like a cat that wants to be a dog. It's crazy. It's almost as if thousands of years ago someone wanted to engineer a cat that ran like a dog and could turn on a dime. You've seen the greyhounds, the racing dogs, the greyhounds. Cheetahs run just like that. And they're fast and they're agile. And they're not big. They're not going to physically outfight a bigger cat, but they'll sure as hell outrun them. I wanted to do a video on this because it is amazing the diversity of this planet, and it's amazing how we tend to overlook things because we're not told everything. I can't say for sure that this is intentionally withheld from the public venue, but I had to research this stuff to find it because I hadn't heard nothing about it. And if you haven't, maybe there's other stuff out there we haven't heard about. there's one story that has always sparked my interest. It's always piqued my interest, and it's the Dogon origin myth. For those of you who don't know, the Dogon is a tribe in Africa. They live in Mali. They're distant cousins of the Egyptians, as I understand it. In the 1920s and 30s, French anthropologists went to study them because these are very primitive people. You know, they're hunters with spears, live in mud huts, very primitive tribesmen. Okay. Well, after gaining their trust, these anthropologists were allowed to hear the Dogon origin story. According to the Dogon, their ancestors came from the Sirius star system, and they showed the symbol for the Dogon symbol for the Sirius star group, and it shows twin stars and all the planets and everything. And of course, the anthropologists thought they'd made it up because, you know, lights in the sky, right? Well, the Sirius, the anthropologists thought it was crap because the Sirius star system only has one star, right? So that they didn't really think anything of it. They made notes of it. They wrote it in papers and like that, but that was it. So it is documented. That's what the Mali, or this Mali tribesman, the Dogon, that's what they believed. That's the basis for their origin story. So now here comes the kicker. Ready? Fast forward to the 1970s. We have somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, but a very powerful telescope, and we're taking photos of the different stars in the night sky. Well, turns out the Sirius star system does have a second star. It's a binary system, and the Sirius star group, the secondary star, is so faint you can't see it with the naked eye. You have to have a very powerful telescope to see it. We didn't know about it until the 70s. Okay. Yet the Mali, the Dogon here in Mali, they knew about it for thousands of years. It was accepted fact to them. And when you plug the second star into their symbol, everything in that symbol works perfect, just like a star system should. It's a diagram of that star system. That stuff like that bugs me, because these people are primitive tribesmen. They've never seen a telescope. They don't know anything about telescopes. Their best bet of finding something in the night sky is to look up at night, literally. So how did they know something we didn't know until the 1970s? But it wasn't a guess, because they knew. They weren't just, making stuff up. They knew for a fact. Stuff like that boggles my mind, because if our scientists don't know that and primitive tribesmen do, how do they find out?
I'm going to hit the Sumerian astronomy here, because these people were amazing. For those of you who don't know, the Sumerians had a civilization on our planet about 6,000 years ago. They were the earliest recorded civilization that we know of that had a lot of firsts, the first writing and all this stuff. Anyway, the point being, they're the first quote-unquote advanced civilization on Earth. Apparently they were a lot more advanced than what we knew, because there's an archaeologist, a linguist, a cultural anthropologist. This guy's name is Zecharia Sitchin. He was doing some research on some stuff they found in an old Sumerian city. And in this city, they found tons of these cylinder seals. And what that is you make the cylinder seal, and then you can roll it out on paper, and it creates a message, or it's a way of writing records, things like that, keeping track of stuff. And there was tons of them there, and people hadn't bothered to read them. Well, he went in there and he started using them and figuring out what they said. Turns out these ancient Sumerians knew a lot about agriculture and our solar system and things like that, because they have on one of their agricultural tablets one of these cylinder seals a perfect depiction of our solar system, but with a 10th planet. Everything else about it is exactly right except for this 10th planet. Now keep in mind, we didn't know anything about Uranus until 1781. We didn't know anything about Pluto until 1930. Yet both of those planets are on this depiction. They're both there. One thing that's different is they don't depict the star and then the planets out from there. They count from the outer planet in. So we live here and we count from the inner planet out. Their recollection is from the outside in, like they came from the outside in, or at least whoever told them about it came from the outside in. It makes you wonder. But now this tablet that they had is a perfect depiction of our solar system, but with a 10th planet. Now, people have theorized for a long time about this 10th planet, and nobody can figure out what it is. Physicists have joined astronomers to find this 10th planet, and they're using astronomical readings and gravimetric pull and things like that to figure out where this 10th planet could be. They have stories, these ancient Sumerians also had stories of collisions in our solar system, which explains many anomalies in our solar system, like the asteroid belt and different moons and things like that. And it turns out the more we discover, the more we realize the Sumerians already knew a bunch of this stuff 6,000 years ago. How they knew it, we don't know. Why they knew it, we don't know. But they knew. This 10th planet apparently is called Nibiru. And the Sumerians recorded who told them about it. It's a group called the Anunnaki, which means those who came from the sky. And the sun is the center of our solar system, but they counted from the outside in, like somebody came visiting and did that. Now, the problem is they have exact descriptions of how these outer planets looked. I mean, descriptions of them, color, wow, their composition, the whole 9 yards. But we didn't know about we didn't know about Uranus until 1781. We didn't know about Pluto until 1930, and the Neptune's in there too somewhere, along in between there somewhere. So my point is, how did they know? And they knew what they looked like. How? There's a lot about this that we don't understand. But apparently these ancient Sumerians knew more about our star system than we do. And they knew about these outer planets, and they're also saying there's a 10th one out there. And now our astrophysicists are theorizing that 10th planet may actually be out there. It's called Nibiru. Planet X, if you will. Are dinosaur carvings that shouldn't exist. Mainstream archaeology says that dinosaurs were long extinct by the time human beings evolved on this planet. And this goes back to the coelacanth, the big fish. Scientists said it was extinct for 65 million years, but nobody bothered to tell the people around Africa who were catching them on a daily basis. They caught one, got it on film, and that's the ugliest fish you ever saw, but it's there, It's obviously not extinct. But this goes even further because we're finding pictures of dinosaurs carved in stone by the hand of man that shouldn't exist. There are many examples of this. Angkor Wat, Cambodia, there's a huge temple there, has a carving of a stegosaurus on a column. Stegosaurus, however you want to pronounce it. In Utah, right here in the U.S., there's dinosaur petroglyphs, carvings on the walls. In Peru, they have burial stones called they're called Ica stones, and they depict pictures of various dinosaurs, and there's hundreds of these. There's the Granby stone found in Colorado. That's thousands of years old. It depicts dinosaurs and an elephant. Yeah, in Colorado. In Acambaro, Mexico, there's hundreds of little dinosaur figurines. Okay, now they're coming out saying some of those are faked, and they may very well be, But if one of them exists, it disproves what they say. If one of them is real, it disproves everything that they're saying. You see what I'm saying? These things shouldn't exist. These pictures and carvings, mankind should never have been able to see one. The only reason we know what dinosaurs look like now is because we found their skeletons and we set them up, and archaeologists and anthropologists have rebuilt them according to the what they think they should look like, and that's what we think they look like. But nobody ever saw one. No human being ever saw one. You see what I'm saying? Yet there's carvings of them. So somebody's wrong. You know, they're not they're teaching what they think they know, but they don't know what they think they know. And nobody was around to see those dinosaurs, yet there they are. They're carved all over the world, and these are pretty good carvings too for primitive people. Well, I suppose if if you don't have TV, you don't have any other form of medium of communication, and you want to record stuff, you get pretty good at carving. So you got to give them that at least. But these things, like I said, these carvings should not exist. Yet, there they are. They're all over the world. There's two authors out there. These guys do lectures. It's Christopher Dunn and Brian Forrester, Foerster. These guys have written books on this subject, and they do lectures on it. And so these guys know a hell of a lot more about it than I do. Go check out their stuff. I'm going to have a list of books here in a little bit. But they believe that the ancients in Egypt had use of advanced machine tools. And they make a pretty good case for it. Apparently these ancients used these to carve statues and make their stonework. There's a number of different places in Egypt. Let me find it. Luxor, Karnak, Giza, many other places. The one that got me was the statue of Ramses II. This statue is perfect. They use three-dimensional spherical trigonometry when they did this statue, and it is perfect. Front, side, back, all of it. I want to say it was Christopher Dunn. He took a photo of this statue's face, and he made a copy of it. And then he flipped that copy over, and he made it transparent. And then he overlaid it on the regular picture. And it matched up perfectly. This statue is perfect in all three dimensions. Every curve, every slope, every little indentation, all of it is perfect. You got to see it. Okay, this wasn't done with a guy with a hammer and chisel. Okay, there's a lot of good sculptors out there over the centuries, really good ones, talented people. But to get this kind of perfection, I don't think it could be done by hand. If it is, I could see somebody doing it once in a while. Getting this curve and that curve the same. I could see, but every curve on this they use. You got to see the video. It's astounding. I don't believe this type of machine could be done by hand. I don't believe it could. There's a lot of if we were going to do that today, we would have to use one of those computerized CNC machines to get it that perfect, and even then there's going to be some variance. This is perfect. You got to see it. It's ridiculously perfect. And these men make an excellent case for their claims. I'm going to give you the list of some of their books here. Christopher Dunn, he wrote Giza Power Plant, Technology of Ancient Egypt. He wrote Lost Technology of Ancient Egypt. And then Brian Forrester, and he's written other books too, but I'm giving you the books on this subject, as far as I can tell. Brian Forrester wrote Aftershock, the Ancient Cataclysm That Erased Human History. Lost Ancient Technology of Peru and Bolivia. Elongated Skulls of Peru and Bolivia. Lost Ancient High Technology of Egypt. Lost Ancient Technology of Egypt, Volume 2. And he's written more. I'm just giving you the basic ones. Now, again, I don't know if any of that's true. I don't know if what they had or what they didn't have. But Christopher Dunn, rather. Christopher Dunn showed places on some statues where it looks like somebody had a machine tool and they were using it, and they slipped and gouged into the, the stone, you know, and that, to me, that looks pretty credible. They've got bore holes that look like they were machined as opposed to drilled by hand with a drill, you know. And again, these things are perfect. You got to see them. This is something along the lines of the H blocks of Puma Punku. I did a video on those as well. So, I can't see anybody being able to do this by hand. If they did, I mean, I don't think it's possible. I honestly don't believe that it's possible. But go check out those videos. Type in those names, Christopher Dunn and Brian Forrester. You'll get all kinds of good videos on them on YouTube. And check out their books too. I have not read their books, so I can't attest to that. But I have seen the videos, and the videos that they do are quite compelling. So go check that out. If this is true, it throws a monkey wrench in everything that the scientists and the anthropologists and the archaeologists and like that have been telling us for centuries.
Our moon. And there's a reason I'm doing this video. There's a lot about our moon that we really can't explain. It is a big lump of basalt in a spheroid shape orbiting our planet. It's at exactly the right altitude and exactly the right size and everything. I mean, I'll get to that in a minute. But it's made of basalt, and basalt is light and absorbs impact. So that's one of the good things about it. It acts as kind of a buffer for incoming asteroids and things like that. Consequently, our moon is marked by millions of craters. Many are large and many are smaller, but they are all roughly uniform in depth. Physics says if a big meteorite hits, it's going to make a big deep hole. If a small meteorite hits, it's going to make a small shallow hole. But no matter how big or small the holes are, they're all the same depth, roughly. They're all uniform in depth, all over the surface of it. Something is preventing craters in the moon from going deeper. And like I said, basalt is light and it absorbs impact. But is there a layer of armor under the dust? Something that's preventing, you know, is there a layer of rock or something with a thin layer of basalt over it? That's what it seems like. And there have been many astronomers and scientists that have theorized this. On November 20th, 1969, Apollo 12 released their launch vehicle after they left the surface. When the launch vehicle crashed into the surface, their seismic indicators, because they had put seismic indicators on the surface of the moon, their seismic indicators recorded that the moon rang like a bell for an hour. So they release this big thing, it falls down and hits the moon, and the moon rang like a bell. What has to happen for that? Yeah, it means the moon's hollow. Wernher von Braun, who at the time was the head of NASA, decided to crash a heavier piece of the module into the moon. When they did that, the moon rang like a gong for over 3 hours to a depth of over 20 miles. The moon is either hollow or has giant caverns within. Okay? And that doesn't happen. The theory of the moon is it's like Earth. It cools. It's like a bubble in a vacuum. It cools and blah, blah. But that means it would be not like a bubble as in like a bubble you blow and it's hollow on the inside. No, it's like a globule of liquid that cools and forms the moon. Well, that precludes it's not hollow, right? Well, if the moon is hollow, that theory doesn't fit. Now, The moon is in a perfect orbit to affect our world and the tides in such a way as to allow life to form and thrive and evolve. Okay, the moon affects the tides. The moon protects us from incoming meteors and things like that. Many scientists cannot explain the perfection of the moon's size or position. The odds against that are astronomically stupid. It's ridiculously stupid. Someone, according to many theorists, someone built the moon and placed it in exactly the right place in orbit about our planet to allow life to evolve on this planet.
In China, the Yangtze River is experiencing its 5th flood this year, and this is record flooding. Okay, in some areas it's 3 stories deep. 3 stories deep. It destroyed a dam. I'm not sure if that dam was destroyed to prevent flooding upriver, but it destroyed a lot of homes downriver. So it's like chopping off your arm to save, to prevent the spread of gangrene or something. And I can see them doing that. I mean, it makes sense. If you got a choice between destroying 5,000 homes or however many it was, I don't remember how much it was. It was a lot of homes. You can destroy 5,000 homes, or you can let the flooding up here destroy 10 million homes. Yeah, you choose the lesser of the two evils. So I can understand that if they did it on purpose, destroyed the dam, that is. But that's a lot of flooding, and I mean a lot of flooding. Okay. In some areas in China, they're having midsummer snowstorms. According to Chinese folklore, this signifies an injustice having taken place. Heavy rains and mudslides have turned into blizzards in summertime. So, snowfall in summertime. I don't care who you are, that's weird. They're having massive storms coming along, typhoons and stuff, tornadoes, all kinds of different bad weather that's very unusual for China. Okay. And lots of other natural disasters as well, earthquakes and all kinds of stuff. And it's all really, really weird because it's all happening right now. If it happened, one or more of them happened every month for a year, you're like, one or two of them happen every month for a year, and it's spaced out. You're like, I don't know, But they're happening one after the other, boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, in a very short period of time. We're not even in September yet, or it's almost September. It's in August, and it's just the 5th flood of the year. Massive storms, snowstorms in the summer, blizzards, that kind of thing. It's one thing after another, and it brings into question something else, an older conspiracy theory that I never really put much stock into. For those of you who don't know, there's a place called HAARP, and I wrote it down. It's HAARP. It's called the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Okay, and this is a facility we have. It's a real facility in Alaska. Conspiracy theorists claim this facility can be used to control the weather. And I'm not, again, I don't want to spread a conspiracy theory. But if this thing is active and it can do what they say it can, it would explain what's going on in China. Because the economic upheaval that these storms are producing is tremendous. The Chinese economy is staggeringly, it's dropping big time. And people go, well, you cannot control the weather. Nobody can control the weather to that degree. As I understand it, they can seed clouds and make rain and stuff, and that's fairly well known. I understand that. They were doing that in the 70s, I think, or maybe even earlier. I don't know. But consider this. There is an international law signed by a bunch of different countries, including America, that says using weather as a weapon is illegal. It is illegal to use weather control as a weapon. Why would they have that law? And that's an actual law. I'm not making it up. That's real. Why would they have a law for something that can't happen? It's like saying it's against the law for human beings to turn invisible. Well, actually, they can do that now because of that thing. I did another video on Technophobe where they have a blanket now they can put over you and make you invisible. It's real, developed at a number of universities in the world. Excuse me. It's supposed to be the next stage of camouflage. So that's real. Maybe I should have went with it's illegal for a human being to be able to fly naked, because it can't happen. Why would they make a law that says it's illegal for naked people to fly? Because they can't. You see what I'm saying? Why would they make a law that says it's illegal to use weather control as a weapon unless somebody can control the weather? Sandy Island. For those of you who have not heard about this, and I had not until a week or so, 2 weeks ago I think it was, my son heard about this in school, and he brought it to my attention, along with another one. I'm going to do another unexplained phenomena video here in a little bit. But he told me about this. I'd never heard of it before. So I had heard of a disappearing island, but I hadn't heard about this one. Apparently there's more than one. I'm going to do it on this one, and if I can find out about the other one, I'll do it too. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, Sandy Island is an island northwest of New Caledonia. New Caledonia is down around New Zealand. It even shows up on Google Earth as a black polygon. It is roughly the size of Manhattan. Everybody talks about it. It's, boom. Problem is, it's not there. There's no island there. But it shows up on Google Earth. And it shows up on maps. Let me explain. This was first documented by the whaling ship Velocity in 1876. It was first mentioned in a British Admiralty chart in 1908. So it is documented to have been there. Now, there is some speculation that a lot of these older maps like that were made up, or they just charted stuff in there because they were just being descriptive, or not descriptive. What's the word I'm looking for? They were trying to fill in charts to make it look more official or whatever. But this was reported by a ship and then put into the Admiralty charts. So you got to kind of consider it as official. It's a real island. It did exist. But nobody has found it since. It's just not there. A group of movie makers went out there to make a movie about it, and they couldn't find it. It's not there. It is simply not there. Nobody can really explain how it disappeared or why it appears on maps or on Google Earth. But it's there. This was theorized. There's a lot of theories as to what could have happened here. The primary theory is that it was a giant pumice raft. And for those of you who don't know what that is, a pumice raft is a structure that forms when volcanic lava cools really fast, and so a volcano goes off and the lava gets in the water and it cools it real fast, and it creates this kind of a pumice rock, and it's got gas trapped inside it, so it floats. It's like a rock that floats. It's very light. That's what they figured it was just a huge pumice raft. The problem with that is the Velocity crew reported sandy beaches and palm trees, which eliminates the pumice rock raft thing. Just, in my opinion, throws it out of the water, because you don't get palm trees growing on that. At least not that I'm aware of. This island remains a mystery to this day, and I looked it up on Google Earth and I saw it there. It's a black polyhedron looking thing. A little black shape of an island. It's apparently the size of Manhattan, but it's just not there. Shows up on the maps, but it's not there. It's freaky weird, folks. It just goes to show you don't have to go into outer space or extra dimensions to find stuff that just is weird. So, whatever will our Earth produce for us next? Crooked Forest. For those of you who have not heard about this, I just found out about it this last week, and it's freaky. All right, in Poland, near the town of, let me get this right, Gryfino, 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 there stands a grove of 400 oddly shaped pine trees. These are pine trees. Anybody who's seen a pine tree, it's straight, it's kind of a skinny trunk, and it goes real tall, But this is not an ancient grove of trees. These were planted around 1930, when it was still within the German province of Pomerania. All of these trees are shaped exactly the same way. there's a little bit of variation, but you can definitely tell something affected them, and it's just weird. From the base, the pine trees grow up about maybe a foot, and then they have a sharp 90-degree bend northward, but then they curve back up to grow straight up into the sky. So they come up about a foot and they come around like that, kind of like an upside down question mark without the little dot at the end. I have no idea what could have caused the trees to grow that way. This is the way they grew, okay? From the 1930s, this is the way they grew. It is estimated that the trees were 7 to 10 years old when whatever caused the deformity occurred. So they were planted 7 to 10 years after that. Something made them do that kind of nonsense. The mysterious shape of these trees is not shared by any other foliage in the area. It's just this one little grove of trees. They had a lot of different people come and inspect them. A lot of different people had theories, but I can't imagine any of these being realistic, or even close to explaining them. Some people theorize that a unique gravitational pull is making them pull over, but to me, that would just bend them over and that's it. You know, they wouldn't grow up. They would grow out. Some people are theorizing that heavy snowfall bent the trees over, but that would just be over like that. Because every year there's more snowfall, see. And they would kind of slowly bend over that way. You know, they wouldn't go like that. The other thing here is, the other theory is that someone intentionally manipulated the trees during growth for some reason. So somebody was out there intentionally bending the trees and tying them off so they grew this one way and then back up this way. And, you know, I don't know why the hell they would do that. That doesn't make any freaking sense. It's a lot of work to make an entire grove of trees do that with no upside. There's no payoff to that, unless you want a tourist attraction, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, to date, none of these theories have been proven, and there's a hell of a lot. There's a hell of a lot of questions and very, very few answers. Since the town was abandoned shortly after the beginning of World War II through the 1970s, any locals who knew anything about any reasons for this, they're long gone. So nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. There's a lot of people theorizing a lot of different things about this. Right now, it's just an oddity. Oddly enough, this is one of the few unexplained phenomena that doesn't have aliens tagged on it. So, you know, the Namib, I get that word wrong every time. Namib circles, Namib. And because it's called that because it's from the area Namibia, Namibia, Namibia. These were first studied in the 1970s, and they were also called fairy circles and death circles. And the reason they're called these is they are uniformly distributed round gaps in arid grassland across the Namib in South Africa. In southern Africa, in that area. They look like polka dots when seen from the air. So you're flying over them, and they look like little polka dots in the desert floor. They're surrounded by grass, but they're uniformly circled areas where nothing grows. They're called death circles, fairy circles, whatever you want to call them. In 2014, almost identical formations were found near Newman in Western Australia. So it's not just in the African continent. They're in it's at least one other place as well. So, and they are essentially circular patches of bare dirt where nothing grows, and they're surrounded by the grass in the arid areas. And so far, nobody knows what's causing this. Lots and lots of theories are out there. I jotted down some of the more prevalent ones. Theories are a dime a dozen on this because nobody can figure out what causes them. My favorite, the old standby, UFO landings. Another one is termites native to the area. competition for water between different plants. So a plant will be here and then it sucks in all the water from the area. I don't like that theory myself, because that means there would be a plant in the center. I don't know. Toxic euphorbia bushes. So they're thinking there's a bush that's, I guess, underground and it's sucking all the water out of there. I don't know. Some combination of the above. Some people even say it's a kind of a hoax. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've seen them. I've done some research, but nobody can tell me what causes them, which makes them unexplained. Unexplained phenomena. That's the very definition of unexplained phenomena. To date, nobody can prove any of these, and it remains unexplained. There's just no... The scientists are still studying it. They haven't come up with anything positive yet. Nothing concrete. So, Bermeja Island. Now, a while back, I did a video on an island called Sandy Island, which is kind of a non-island. It shows up on certain maps, and it can be seen as a kind of a black area on Google Maps, on Google Earth. But you go there on a boat, and it's not there. There's no actual island there. It's weird. And I found another one. Bermeja Island is a phantom island off of the north coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. It was clearly noted on several maps of the Gulf of Mexico from the 16th to the 20th centuries. All kinds of people were making maps of it, and it's there, right? The location was specifically noted in relation to neighboring islands by several noted cartographers of the 16th century. So in the 1500s, they knew it was there. Then you fast forward to the 90s. In 1997, there was a survey, and then there was an extensive study done in 2009. And both the survey in 1997 and then an extensive study in 2009. The study was conducted by the National Autonomous University of Mexico, and both of them failed to find the island. And it's mysterious because people knew it was there. They were out looking for it, and they couldn't find it. It's on the maps, it's here, but it's not there. Interest in this island became extensive because it would extend Mexico's boundaries out into the ocean for oil drilling. For example, international law recognizes 12 miles out. Well, if this island is here, they got to go 12 miles past the island, not 12 miles past the coast. So it would give Mexico more of an area to drill for oil, and that's an oil-rich area, because there's a lot of international interest in oil drilling in that area. There's a lot of conspiracy theories are all over the place about that. Different countries had reason to do something about that. One individual floated the conspiracy that the CIA actually destroyed the island to ensure that the U.S. could drill for oil there. And I don't know how true that is. I don't know anything about it. I'd never even heard of this island until last week. So my contention is that in order to get more territory in the Pacific, China is building islands. And they're claiming it as sovereign territory, which means it extends their sphere of control further out from the mainland. They're doing that. This sounds like something like in reverse. People are destroying an island to prevent that. Now, that being said, there's no evidence anybody destroyed the island. It may have naturally broke up and sank, or, some sort of an earthquake swallowed it up. We don't know. But it was there on maps, clearly on maps. Cartographers plotted its exact position in relation to other islands. And now you go there and it's not there. So, another vanishing island, folks. Apparently they're all over the place. What are called ley lines. And I got to give you a bit of a backstory here. I was originally looking at why a lot of the ancient building sites were lined up around the world, not just in one specific area, but all over the world. And I found this particular definition, and for some reason it fits. I don't know why it does, but it does. Nobody can explain why it does, at least not rationally. For those of you who don't know what these are, ley lines are, they were first theorized in 1921, and they refer to naturally occurring alignments. I wrote this down so I wouldn't get it wrong. Naturally occurring alignments of Earth energies, or mystic convergences. These natural alignments link a plethora of ancient sites such as Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Pumapunku, Teotihuacan, and Chichen Itza. And there's a bunch more all over the world. I'm just listing a few, because if I listed them all, the video would be an hour long. These ancient sites all fall upon these supernatural lines. And by supernatural, I mean they're claimed to be supernatural. What I myself can prove is that you can draw a line between them, and a whole bunch of them line up on these lines. You draw a line this way, and they're all lined up on this line. And these lines converge. The scholars indicate that it's possible that these lines that line up all these ancient sites are naturally occurring fault lines, something to do with geothermal energy. I don't know. Some of them say it's magic. There's naturally occurring magical lines, and where they link up, you can do all kinds of magical stuff. I don't know about that. I mentioned this in another video, that if you believe in God, you have to believe in magic, because magic is in the Bible. The Pharaoh's wizards threw their staves on the ground, and they became snakes. Aaron threw his rod on the ground, his became a snake and ate up the others. So, obviously God is more powerful than the wizard's magic, but the wizards had magic, so magic is by definition real. That being said, I don't know if any of this is true or not. I'm telling you what I read. I know for a fact that these sites all line up on various lines around the world, and some of these lines intersect. There's people out there who seem to think there's some mysticism to these lines. Naturally occurring energies, supernatural energies. I don't know. I've not felt them, nor have I actually investigated seriously, so I can't say whether or not that's real. But there are noted scholars out there who seem to think that they are. The part that gets me is, if they are naturally occurring ley lines like that, somehow these ancient builders either knew about the ley lines or were drawn to them instinctively. Now, that being said, the fact that these things all line up, these sites, ancient sites, all line up, and some of these sites are thousands and thousands of years old, they line up around the world, and they're all on the same lines. That tells me that it was planned, or there is something to that, so that they would build on this particular site. Maybe they could feel the energy. I don't know. For some reason, ancient builders who weren't much more than cavemen built these ancient sites all along the same lines around the world. Call it what you want, but that's what happened. Regardless of whether or not these ley lines are supernatural, many ancient sites around the world are aligned with each other. Ancient builders with no knowledge of each other built their massive sites all on these lines. At least a good portion of them. The southern tip of Ireland is a good example here. The southern tip of Ireland, all the way to Israel, there's a straight line that connects 7 sites, all with some form of the name Michael. To date, no other explanation can explain these alignments. These ancient builders didn't have telephones or compasses or any kind of advanced GPS. Let's make sure, we got to move it another 4 feet this way and we'll build right here. No, but they're there. So, for whatever reason, they were doing it, and it begs the question how they knew. Unless somebody was directing them and organizing it, they knew somehow. Crop circles.
here we go. For those of you who don't know, crop circles are circles and other designs, geometric designs in crops. Wheat, alfalfa, barley, that kind of thing. It happens all over the world, and usually it happens overnight. And there's usually not an explanation for it. These are very intricate geometric pictures, and they're huge. You know, they're like hundreds of feet across, some thousands of feet across. There's one that was reported recently, I forget where. It's a big butterfly dude. It looks like a man with butterfly wings, but it's beautiful. It's like 2,000 feet across. It's huge. And these are done overnight. So they weren't there one day, they're there the next day. Nobody really knows how they're made. Now, a little bit of history. These things started back in 1678. The news pamphlet called it the mowing devil. And the farmer that reported this said he saw a bright light like a big fire at night, but there was no fire. And in the morning, boom, it was there. There was a chronicler named John Leyland, and he was in the court of Henry VIII. He wrote of the traditional maypole dance that, quote, "We go out in the early hours and we learn the patterns that appear on the grass overnight." Was he talking about crop circles? We don't know. But, all right, over the years, people have postulated some theories as to how these happened. People have postulated UFOs and orbs. As a matter of fact, I think one guy got video of orbs going around and making a crop circle in the daylight. But again, you know, is it faked? I don't know. You can do a lot with CGI and the proper software on a laptop these days. So, you know, you don't know if that's true or not. People have theorized that natural storms and other effects like ball lightning might have had something to do with it. Plasma vortexes or whatever. Back in the day, in centuries past, they said fairies did it. You know, now the most popular explanation these days, the most common accepted one, is that they were hoaxers. As a matter of fact, several decades back, excuse me, there was two men, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley. They came out and said, "Yeah, we did it. We were the hoaxers. We did these," and they got boards with some rope attached, and you know they're tamping out these designs in the wheat and in the straw. There's a little problem with that. Crop circles predate these guys, predate their birth, and if their ancestors were doing this as well, that's a hell of a hoax. Other thing you got to look at is the sheer number of these things. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things are reported around the world every year, but sometimes thousands of them. There's only 365 days in a year, people. You're going to do 2 a night in different countries around the world? That's asinine. Okay, these guys, you know, they're having a couple of drinks down at the pub and then go out and do a crop circle. No, that explanation does not float. You'd have to have well-trained, well-learned, because these geometric designs are mathematically perfect. They're awe-inspiring if you haven't seen them. They have to be well-trained and learned individuals out there making these things and really, you know, putting some effort. You'd have to have people all around the world doing this. And they have to be all in league with each other. It has to be coordinated. Okay? That explanation simply does not hold water. Now, there's some other things. we need to be aware of. One specific event, August of 2002, in, let me see if I can get this word right, Sparsholt, Sparsholt, OLF, Sparsholt, maybe. I can't read my own writing, folks. Amazing. Anyway, this is in southern England. A huge crop circle, and it was actually more of a square, kind of a rectangle. This thing appeared overnight. It features a classic gray alien face and a strange disc in the forward of it. And the disc is designed as a sort of fractal binary code. UFO and crop circle researchers translated the disc. This is what it says. Quote, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing." Unquote. Now, that's an odd message. Excuse me. I have also heard of another crop circle where there was information we sent out on a probe, one of our space probes. There was the same basic design brought back and put in a crop circle, but it's been altered to show different planets in the solar system and a different, key things were different, showing a different solar system, different inhabitants of that solar system, that kind of thing. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if any of this is real. Okay. All this could be an elaborate hoax. But if it's a hoax, it's a hell of a hoax. You know what I'm saying? If this is a natural phenomena, it's been going on a long time, and why haven't we seen it? Why does it only happen at night? Why does nobody ever see the polar vortex that creates these geometric designs? It's mind-boggling. But there it is. Again, I'm not taking sides one way or the other. I don't know if this is real or not. People have reported odd energy in these crop circles. People have reported being able to get pregnant where they couldn't before. Women, where their infertility was cured, things of that nature. Again, I don't know if it's all true or not. I don't know.